So I want to talk about something that God revealed to me the other night. I suffer from insomnia, so my nights, I struggle sleeping. I wake up multiple times during the night, and for some reason, I always wake up well rested, even though I didn't really sleep much at night. Well, I want to say maybe, 2 nights ago, so the night before last night, God was speaking to me. For some reason, I was really struggling and going to sleep, and I was telling God, like, God, when is this going to end? When am I going to have a night where I sleep throughout the night? Like, I want to know what that feels like. Like, I just want to know what it feels like to sleep for an entire night without having to wake up. So I was just talking to God, and I was asking him, like, when am I going to experience that? Like, when are you gonna take away this insomnia from me? When am I going to be able to just have a good night's rest? And I was just tossing and turning in my bed, and I just for some reason I wouldn't stop talking to God. Usually when I have insomnia, I'll just sit down, I'll open the blinds on my window, and then I'll just look at the sky to see, and I'll just talk to God, or like I'll pray or something. But that night, for some reason, I kept telling God, like, God, do you have something for me? Like, is there a message for me? Like, is there something that you need me to know right now? And that's why I'm really struggling right now, because it was insane. Like, for the life of me, I could not sleep at all. It was maybe like 3 a.m, and I was just like, to the point where I wanted to cry. Like, I really wanted to cry, because I was telling God, like, I've had enough of this. Like, it's crazy that every day I can't sleep well. I don't really take naps during the day because I'm not sleepy, even though I could be really tired. And then at night, I just don't sleep. But right now, it just feels so intense. It's so crazy. It's so intense. And I just kept telling God, you have a message for me. Like, just give me the message, please. And let me go to sleep. And I was just telling him that, like, please give me the message and let me go to sleep. And I remember I would go to sleep for like maybe 20 minutes. And then I would wake up and I would tell God, please just give me the message and let me go to sleep. I would be tossing and turning, and then I would go to sleep, and then like 20 minutes later I would wake up and the same thing. God, please just give me the message. What is it that you want me to know right now? Why are you not letting me go to sleep? So it's probably like 5 a.m, and I'm finally starting to fall into a sleep, and I'm finally feeling tired. I'm finally dozing off, and then my brain just starts going out of nowhere, and I start talking in my mind. I start talking to myself, and now I know it wasn't just me, but the message was this: I'm like a continent, right? Do you know what happens with continents? This is something I learned back when I was in high school, so I don't know if it's true or not, but the continents are separating, right? Just like they did billions of years ago, that they separated. It's still happening, but it's happening in such a small way that we don't notice it, we don't feel it, and we won't see it in our lifetime. Who knows how many millions, trillions, billions, whatever years is gonna take until the continents separate again. And God was telling me, you are like a continent. You're making very small changes that are not noticeable. You don't really see it, you don't really feel it, and you don't notice it because the changes are so small, but they are so important, and the outcome of those changes is going to be grand. It's going to be massive. Because can you imagine the separation of a continent? The changes that it's going to bring, the damages that it probably will bring. Like, we don't know what the outcome will be when the continents finally split up. But right now, we know it's happening. We don't see it, we don't feel it, we don't notice it. So that's the same thing. So that's what God revealed to me. He said, you know, right now, my life, it's like a continent. My changes are like a continent. They're so small that I don't notice it. They're so slow that I don't notice it, but it's happening. Just because I don't see it, just because I don't feel it, doesn't mean that it's not happening. And I have to stop controlling the outcome, and I need to let God be God and do his job. Me, I have a job, and I'm trying to do my job, and I'm also trying to do God's job. And God said, stop doing my job. Focus on what your job is. Focus on what I'm telling you to do, which is being obedient. Right now, I'm in my season of wilderness. And the reason why I know I'm in my season of wilderness is because for some reason, God put that in my mind that I'm in my wilderness season right now. And I have to be obedient. God, he revealed to me about 2 weeks ago, he revealed to me Exodus chapter 14, verse 14, which is pretty much saying that he's gonna fight for me. All I have to do is be still. Like, I have to trust him. And it's very hard for me to do that because my entire life, ever since I was a little girl, I've always done everything for myself. I've cooked for myself, I took myself to school, I dressed myself, I cleaned for myself. Like, I did everything on my own. And it's just very hard for me to let somebody else take the lead, to take that role of leadership, let alone God. So I am in that season right now. I am in my season of wilderness. Like, God is putting me in this season of everything that is happening to me. I have no other option but to trust him and let go of everything. Just surrender 100% and just do nothing. I was trying to fast and I was trying to force it. And then he revealed to me again, he said, be still, do nothing. And that means no fasting. Like, I'm not even supposed to fast right now. Like, I'm literally just supposed to do nothing. Just be still, focus on myself, focus on my school, focus on being a good mom, and focus on my job. I don't have to worry about anything else. I don't have to worry about how am I gonna pay my rent? How am I gonna pay these bills? I don't have to worry about, am I gonna get married? Am I gonna find a husband? I don't have to worry about the big things. I just gotta do the things that he has provided for me right now, which is school, my son, and to take care of my house. That's literally what I have to do. Take care of my health as well. And everything else, I just have to let him do it, him fight my battles. And like I said, I was just trying to fast because I was telling him, like, maybe if I fast, I can speed up my process. And he said, no. He said, be still. Like, woman, be still. Do nothing. So that's literally what I'm trying to do because it's so hard. And I think that if you're a person, you know, whether you're a woman or a man who has never had the luxury of letting somebody else take care of you, it's very hard to let go of that control. And for me, that's the case. My entire life, I've had to depend on myself. I had to rely on myself. And I'm finally in a place where I have to rely on God because he is putting me in situations where I have no other option but to rely on him. And I'm gonna get into this story because I think this is a wonderful story. 4 weeks ago, God was really communicating with me. He was communicating with me every single day. And I was able to hear him loud and clear. And then one day, I stopped hearing from him. And I felt so alone. I felt so lost, and I was a little scared. And I asked him, like, why are you not communicating with me? Like, why can't I hear you? Like, did I do something? Like, why are you being quiet right now? And that day, I drove to pick up my son from school, and then on my drive back home, my car messed up. All the lights on the dashboard turned on, and I had to park on the side of the street. And I got out of my car with my son, and I was just there until I got some help. And for the first time in my life, I felt the need to surrender. Usually the old me, I would have seen that as an inconvenience, and I would have probably started crying. Then I would have been upset, because it's a situation that I have no control over. But instead of doing that, I started praying. Like, my initial reaction was to pray. And I was just praying to God, and I was telling him, like, please, I need you right now. Like, I'm out here with my son, and I need you to be my mechanic right now, because I couldn't even turn off my car. I tried turning off my car like 4 times, and it didn't want to turn off, so my car was on. And I was just telling God, like, I need you to be my mechanic right now. Whatever the situation is that's happening with my car, like, you need to fix it, because I'm in this situation. I'm alone. I'm with my son, and people are being kind of rude. They kept honking for me to get out of the way, but it's like, where am I gonna go? My car is malfunctioning. And then I look up, and it was a beautiful day, like today. So there was some clouds, like these clouds that are here, and then in this area, this blue area right here, there was a rainbow. And the day was like this. So it's a nice day. It's a little windy because you can see my hair moving a little bit. So it was a little windy, but it was a nice day too, where you don't have to wear a sweater. And at first I looked up and I'm like, what are the odds for me to see a rainbow? Because the rainbow is very precious to me. My son is a rainbow baby. His middle name is Rain, short for rainbow. I know that God's first covenant with humankind, with the earth and all living things, is a rainbow. So God communicates with me through rainbows a lot. I've noticed that in my walk with him. Every time I have a question or something, it's like a yes or no question or something, God shows me a rainbow. So that day, after I finished praying, I just look up and I see that rainbow. And this lady, she's driving the opposite way, and then she sees me, so she busts a U and she comes and she's like, what's going on? And like, I told her, I don't know, like, my car won't turn off, and the lights are on the dashboard. And she was like, oh my goodness. She was like, well, do you have help? And I said, yes, my mom she should be here soon. So the lady's okay, she leaves, right? I don't think about it. Then maybe like 15 minutes later, she comes back in a different car. She comes back and she gets out of the car and she's like, are you okay? Do you want me to go get you some food? And I was like, wow, like, that's very nice of you. And I told her, no, thank you. Like, I really appreciate that, but I'm not hungry. Like, I just want to get home. Like, I have my son with me. I just want to get home. And the lady was like, yeah, she was like, you know what? Like, I've been in this situation before. She was like, but for me, it happened in the freeway. And I'm like, oh no. And she's like, and I had my son too. And he was little, like your son. So the lady did not leave my side. My mom got there and we drove to like a shopping center that was close by, and the lady followed us. And when we got to the shopping center, her father was there. I don't know if her father was a mechanic or what, but he was an older gentleman. I want to say maybe like in his 60s, 70s. And he asked me like, oh, what's happening? And then he told me what it was, in which he was right, because the next day at the mechanics, they told me that it was a problem with the sensor of my car that wasn't communicating with the rest of my car. And that's what he had said. And I didn't really think about it. I was very emotional because of the lady and her father. And the whole day I was just like, why am I so emotional about this? Like, why am I feeling this way towards the lady and her father? And it wasn't until nighttime that I got home. I remember the whole day I was just like, thank you, Father. Like, thank you, for getting me out of that situation. Thank you for getting me home safe. Thank you, because tomorrow they're gonna check my car. So I wasn't even focused or worried about how much is this gonna cost me. Is my car gonna be okay? Like, I wasn't focused on that. I was just thanking God. And it wasn't until nighttime that I was about to go to sleep that it hit me. And I was like, God communicated with me that day, but he didn't communicate with me the way that he had been communicating with me 2 weeks prior. 2 weeks prior, he was communicating with me through dreams and through scripture. But this particular day, he communicated with me through that incident that happened, because he forced me to be in an uncomfortable situation where I had no other option but to rely on him. Not only that, but he brought to me 2 angels. You know how they say that he can show you things through other people? He showed me 2 things that day. First of all, how nurturing he is through the lady. She was nurturing to me. The fact that she offered me food. Then the fact that she didn't leave me alone until not even when my mom got there. And the fact that she called for help. So he showed me his nurturing side through the lady, and he showed me his father's side through the lady's father, because he was an older gentleman who didn't even know me, who had never even met me, but drove to a shopping center just so he can go and check on my car. They didn't ask for money. They didn't ask for anything. And the whole day I was just so incredibly emotional because of that situation, until nighttime when I realized, whoa, God communicated with me today in the physical realm, not just the spiritual one, but the physical one. First of all, he showed me a rainbow. Then he brought to me his motherly figure and his fatherly figure. And it's just like, that day I really felt loved by him. Even though I went through an uncomfortable situation, I felt so loved by him and so cared for and just so valued, because it was just, to me, it was just a beautiful experience to know that 2 people that have never met me before were willing to go out of their way to make sure that I was okay. And you can't tell me that that wasn't God showing his love for me through that. So I think that that's a beautiful story. And I know that it was from him, because like I said, he showed me a rainbow. That's the way he communicates with me, is through rainbows. And I usually always ask him too, if this is you, show me a rainbow. So, and I know that the enemy cannot create a rainbow, especially a rainbow. That's God's creation, and you got to remember that the enemy cannot create anything. We only have one creator, and that is God. So yeah, that's my little story, and I just wanted to share this with some of you, or with one of you, or with none. It doesn't really matter. I just wanted to talk about this because I want you to realize that God is not going to communicate with you the same way always. He's always going to communicate with you through different methods. And like I said, I was getting so used to him communicating with me through my dreams that he stopped that. And then he actually said, okay, I've been working through you, I've been changing you, I've been molding you into this new version of yourself. Now let's put it to practice. Let me put you in an uncomfortable situation, and let's see if you rely on me, or if you start stressing out and start crashing out like the new kids say nowadays. And for the first time ever, my initial reaction was to pray. Like, I think that now my relationship with him has changed so much, and I have become so dependent on him. Like, I am so dependent on God. Like, I'm like a little girl. I don't do anything that God doesn't tell me to do. I don't say anything that God doesn't tell me to say. And I'm just so dependent on him. I'm like a little toddler, and I'm like, hold my hand and don't let it go. Even if I'm trying to like pull away from you, like, don't let me go, because I cannot live my life without you anymore. I don't know how I did it for 28 years, how I lived my life without God. But now that I live my life with God, I'm just like, don't ever let me go, because a life without you is not a life. So that's my experience, and that's just something that I wanted to share. So yeah, just remember that God will communicate with you through various ways. So always try to hear him out. Always try to keep an open mind. Don't be close-minded, and don't get used to one way of communication, because he has so many ways to communicate with you. And if you can create like a password with him, something that is special to you and him, so that you can have reassurance that something is from him, you should definitely do it. I created a password with God, and it's only between me and him, and it's a password that I created in my mind. And for the longest time, he had chosen the password, and the password is rainbow. He chose the most perfect password, because the devil cannot create a rainbow. The devil cannot create a rainbow. So this whole time I told God, this is our secret password, and he said, no, that is not the secret password. Like, I'm gonna choose what the secret password is. And it's something that is so special to me. And I never even thought about it until I realized, and I went back on all the other times that I have seen rainbows, and I'm like, oh my God. It was like a aha moment. Like, yeah, like, God communicates with me through rainbows. Like, that's his yes or no answer for me, is through rainbows. There has been times where I've been driving, and I've been talking to God about something that I want to start, and I've asked him, like, should I do it, yes or no? And then I'll drive for like 5 minutes, and then I'll see a rainbow. There's been times where I remember the first time I moved to this house, I was talking to God, and I asked him, like, yes or no. Like, I think I asked him, like, should I stay here and live here, or should I move? And I asked him, like, show me a sign, like a clear sign, a sign that I'm like, okay, there's no doubt that this is you. And he showed me a rainbow, and that was the first time. That was a little bit over a year ago that he started showing me rainbows, when it's a yes, or when it's like a confirmation of I'm here. So yeah, like, ask God to create a password that is unique to you and him, that the devil cannot replicate, that something that the devil cannot confuse you with. And he will do it, and it's gonna be the most beautiful password that he can make between you and him. Stop trying to make your password. Let him decide what your password should be. So yes, that's what I had to say today. I know that I'm all over the place, but I just wanted to talk about that. I think that I have so much other things that I want to talk about, but then my video would be way too long for that. So if you made it this far, thank you so much for watching this video. I'm gonna go back to enjoying this beautiful day. I was actually out here praying right now, and then for some reason God just said record yourself, so that's why I'm recording myself. But yeah, so thank you so much if you made it till the end.